Oh, all right. Look at that big chunk. What's up, guys? Jameson Redding here with the Road Trip Angler, and we are in Washington State hanging out with Keller Batson and Jeff Little, and we're about to hit this freshwater lake for some largemouth bass.
To hit the state line, yeah, we travel like a freight line. Drop the kayak in and drop a bait down. We make it easier than 1, 2, 3. You want the tips, want the tricks, with the ones to see. Ooh wee! Cause everybody wants to fish, but can't nobody make the trips. But don't trip, cause we gon' make it when you can't miss out. Road trip angle, only thing we need is a route, no doubt.
So today we're going to be doing a little bit of freshwater largemouth fishing, not something a lot of people would associate with Washington State, right? When you hear Washington State, you think salmon, you think halibut, but we actually have some pretty good bass lakes around, and I happen to live not far from one of the better ones on the west side of the Cascade Range.
I don't know that I've ever thought about fishing for largemouth bass with a giant snow-capped mountain in the background.
In the Olympic Peninsula here, everywhere you turn is just a very dramatic and beautiful backdrop for fishing.
We've got a good population of black crappie. I was able to find a few, kind of figure out where they're hanging out. I've caught some before, but I spend most of my time fishing the largemouth.
The cool thing about fishing with someone that knows a spot is they have some intel. And if you're willing to listen to that intel, a lot of times that is going to produce fish for you. So Keller literally pointed out a tree and said, you need to cast right there. And the first cast I put in there, I hooked a decent largemouth. Here we go. Fish on. Woo, look at that. Got me a little cooled off there. All right. Look at that thick chunk.
Oh, what did I say? I told you to cast over there.
It was really actually very satisfying to be able to pick the bait out, pick the location, make a cast, and know that those fish were where I thought they were gonna be.
Treble hook, oh, fish on. Nice trout, feels nice little trout. And that single Siwash hook just kind of tears them up a little bit less.
Oh look, there's a little crappie. Medium light spinning rod he made with Batson products. Good for trolling.
Nice little bass out here in Washington. So cool. So I got that one on a Wacky Rig Cinco on slower presentations when it's like that. Get her back. Pretty fish. Trying to follow along with that pattern, Keller pointed out a slough or a little creek area where he also seems to catch a lot of his fish. And for whatever reason, blame it on the wind, blame it on me not being that great of an angler after all, I cast right into a tree. Stick. Well, that's gonna stay right there while we work it with another. And decided to leave that in there because I didn't want to paddle in to blow all the fish out of this shallow area that they might be holding in to get my lure. So I just left it hanging, put that rod down, grabbed another one, and made a few casts. But on about the second or third cast, I put that in another tree. Oh boy. It's the angle right now. I'm like, I cannot make this work. So now I've got a line going this way and a line going this way. Keller's laughing at me in the background, and here comes Jeff with his Torqeedo, rolls right up and casts over top of both my lines right down the middle. I like that Jeff just rolls up and makes it worse. It was total chaos. As we made our way around the lake and got to some shallower water around some of those lily pads, and I'm sitting there just, fishing, making some casts, and I happen to look down and I noticed that there are just, little panfish, little bluegill, or brim just scattered all around my kayak. And I would drop my Senko in there and I would see them just kind of swim up and react to it. And I'm like, man, there are hundreds and hundreds of fish, you know, around my boat, but they're too small to get this Senko. So I thought it would be funny to just put my net in the water and dangle the Senko over the net and just see if I could lift it and get a few of those fish in the net, just so I could take a look at them and see what type of fish they were. And it was just really cool being in an area that obviously is a very healthy environment for these fish, because they were loaded and everywhere. All right, 3 with 1 cast there, Jeff. That's how you do it. We wouldn't go hungry anyway. It's getting closer and closer to time that we need to get off the water. And I had caught 3 largemouth. One was pretty small, a couple of them were decent, but you know, nothing huge. And I really wanted that one last bite, maybe that one big bite of the day. And I can't help it. It's just something that's ingrained in me. Like there's always one more fish, there's always one more cast. And of course it's getting later in the day, so the shade is starting to, you know, get on the water a bit more. The sun's a little lower in the sky, and we're starting to actually have some shaded points and some shaded banks around that cover. So as we're making our way back to the ramp to get off the water, I decided to start throwing the chatterbait, and I could not resist throwing it on this one shaded point.
Fishermen, above all else, are liars. And the biggest lie that we ever tell is one last cast, one more cast. We're lying.
Of course, everybody's kind of ahead of me, and I've went off on the side and I'm trying to make that last cast. And both my GoPros are actually dead as well, because we've been on the water for a bit, and in this bright bluebird situation with the sun on them, they actually will overheat sometimes. So they had both shut down, and Matt was with the rest of the group heading back to the ramp, but I had to make that one last cast. And it paid off. I had the nicer fish of the day. It was about a 2 pound, 2.5, maybe creeping up to 3 pound. Largemouth there, might be stretching it a little bit, but it was the bigger largemouth that I had gotten that day. And sure enough, it was hanging out in the shade near the lily pads, and when I brought that chatterbait by, it slammed it. So I tried to get one of the GoPros running, and I'm yelling fish on, and Matt is coming back across the water, you know, to see this fish and try to capture it for me. We got to get off the water, but I'm that guy that's always got to make that one last cast. And I hadn't caught a fish on my jackhammer yet either, and I always like to throw my jackhammer. It's gonna be super hard to leave now, but I'm gonna get this girl back and we gotta get out of here. I'm the guy that always has to make one more cast before we get off the water, but it is time that we have to go. And I did make that last cast and did get that fish. Of course, everybody was ahead of me, and that kind of slowed the process down, but we gotta go. It was a lot of fun getting out here and making the best out of just a couple of hours that we had to spend on the water. So I hope you guys enjoy this adventure. Be sure to subscribe for more. Road Trip Angler would like to thank our global partners for helping support the mission to get people outside and on the water.